Welcome, Edward.
Pleasure to be here, thank you.
What brought you here to this ecosystem?
Oh, it's a very interesting story.
You're generating 30 million views per month. That's a huge number. What's your secret of creating content online that resonates so strongly with the audience?
Everything's possible if you have a vision.
Where do you see real investment opportunities in the XRP future?
I think the critics of XRP, most of them are uneducated, so they don't fully understand the technology.
How is the crypto, the Web3, the blockchain, this whole ecosystem supporting the humanity? Welcome back to another new episode of Voice of Web3, brought to you by Congape TV, where we break down the latest trends, innovations, and voices shaping the future of blockchain and digital assets. I have a powerhouse in the Web3 space, someone who's not just watching the crypto revolution, but actively driving it forward. He's a content strategist, educator, and a leader in social adoption with a massive impact in the industry. With over 30 million views per month, he's mastered the art of translating complex crypto concepts into viral, valuable insights. He's also the head of social adoption at XRP Healthcare and Monerex, and the founder of Alpha Lions Academy, a platform dedicated to educating and empowering the Web3 community. Please welcome to this new, fresh episode, Edoardo Farina. Welcome, Edward.
Pleasure to be here, thank you.
Thank you so much for being my guest today. We have a lot of things to discuss. Let's start, Edward, with your story. What brought you here to this ecosystem, to the Web3 world, to the crypto and digital assets?
Oh, it's a very interesting story. So I studied law, so my background is law. I went to study, in Europe we call it Erasmus, when you go study abroad, and I went to study in Portugal as I was talking to you before. And there I ended up working for a law firm, and I had the senior partner of this law firm. His name is Marcio, and cheers for him if he's going to watch this later. And Marcio was always telling me that I should get invested in Bitcoin. Back then I was a teenager, I was doing an internship for this law firm, and I had an old car. So it was an old green Land Rover Freelander, and I couldn't park in Portugal. It's very difficult to park, and I was getting fines, and that car was costing me more money than I had back on the time. So I decided to sell the car, and I actually ended up buying Bitcoin. I bought some Dogecoins at a very cheap price, and also Packcoin. And that's how I got started, and it has been a very long journey until today.
Yeah, interesting and inspiring journey for all the youngsters and young adults who's watching us. Like, as I mentioned in my intro, you're generating 30 million views per month. That's a huge number. What's your secret of creating content online that resonates so strongly with the audience?
I think the secret has always been consistency.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I started, maybe you are not as motivated because, maybe you put out a video, maybe you don't have that much views in the beginning, or maybe you are I use a lot Twitter, now it's called X, and maybe you are talking alone for a couple of days, months, but I promise if you consistently do something and you truly believe you can make it, then you can for sure achieve it. And I think the secret is to connect with the audience as much as possible. I try to answer DMs, I try to answer questions, I try to care for my audience, provide them with great content. And I think ultimately that's the secret, most importantly, to be consistent.
To be consistent and to be transparent, in this world of the fast-moving world of Web3, the digital assets, crypto, you need to provide the audience with, other than the consistency, with the transparency, to be honest with them, to give advices in the right way, right possible way.
You have also a lot of people in this space, for example, who are anonymous.
Yeah.
They just hide behind an NFT picture.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I always been transparent to who I am. I always met people from my audience if they are, for example, in Athens or whenever I'm traveling, they text me. I have no problem with meeting people because I know I am 100% transparent with my audience. So I think that's also a key factor.
So, Edward, you talk a lot about social adoption. How do you define it, and why it is critical component of mass crypto adoption?
Well, I think that's a quote from David Schwartz. It's one of the architects of the XRP ledger last week. And he got me thinking about this because he said that institutional adoption will come before of social adoption. So that's very interesting. And I think the way crypto is moving right now, it's really going for the masses. I think it's going to be exponentially the adoption. More people are going to join Web3. I think we were having this conversation before, multiple generations. I have clients in my academy, they go from 60 years, 50 years, 30 years. And I think when people understand the beauty of decentralization of finances you can somehow become your own bank nowadays. And I know especially here in Dubai, you can even buy properties with crypto. I think it's something that can't be stopped anymore. And I think to be the head of social adoption, especially for two projects built on top of the XRP ledger, is something that I'm very passionate about.
Interesting. So let's move to this other question. Since you are the head of social adoption at XRP Healthcare and Monerex, you're, let's say, at the intersection of crypto and healthcare. How do you see the blockchain transforming this specific industry?
Yeah, you define it very well. It's an intersection between cryptocurrencies and something tangible on the real world. So we have this project, XRP Healthcare, is based in Africa. They are revolutionizing healthcare there with blockchain technology, leveraging the capabilities of the XRP ledger. So just imagine, this is just one example. You can create, for example, life insurance for people in Africa where they can actually pay with the native token XRP Healthcare. This is just one of the examples, or acquisition of private clinics where people are going to be having a healthcare card from XRP Healthcare. And it's basically just going to improve accessibility for people who are actually in Africa and they have
less fortunate people
people who don't have accessibility to healthcare, for example. And the same is happening with another project which is called Monerex with the token MXI, which is onboarding on Mexico the unbanked population, and they're also helping with transactions. So if someone wants to buy properties in crypto, they can use the native token MXI, and that's very exciting from both perspectives.
Interesting. So, as you have mentioned, XRP has a strong community and unique position in the market. What do you think will define its long-term success? Success is very important, but it's just at the moment, success is just now. How to maintain this success? How to keep it sustainable, long-term success?
I think the secret for the success of the implementation, let's say, of XRP, it really comes down to its scalability. So you have a fully decentralized ledger that executes transactions within 3 seconds. So that's much faster than the majority of blockchains. And it's a very robust system that is based on validators. So you have 35 different validators and you need to reach consensus that works different than Bitcoin, for example, with that has a limited size block. So with Bitcoin, it can only process up to 6 transactions per second. On the XRP ledger, meanwhile, if you go see on-chain right now, it's executing over 500 transactions per second, but it can scale through federated sidechains. It can reach thousands of transactions per second. And from my perspective, that's the key for the success of XRP. It's scalability. I think that's the number one. The aha moment for XRP, I think, is the scalability.
So the crypto narratives are evolving very fast, and from the decentralization of finance, the DeFi, to NFTs, real-world assets. What's the next big trend people should be paying attention to?
Well, I'll have to answer two.
Yeah.
So One of them is 100% cross-border payments. So we live in a world where transactions need to flow free and easy, just like information, but that's not the reality. So if I'm going to send money from Europe, let's say I'm going to send money to South America, that's going to take days. The banking system is still very archaic. It's still operating as if they were in the 70s or the 80s. It's the exact same system with Nostro Vostro account. So I think one of the trends we should be looking for is cross-border payments. I would even go further. I would say micro-payments, which is a source that you can stream payments, not completing all the payments at once, but you actually stream the payments until the payments fully completed. And that can speed up the process of payments, and the XRP ledger and also Hyperledger protocol, they do that in a very significant way. And the second one, and I think that's the biggest one, is tokenization of real-world assets. So I think we should be looking for everything's going to be tokenized. There will be a cryptography representation of assets on the blockchain. And I travel to many crypto events. And nowadays, everything comes down to tokenization of real-world assets. So you will see properties being tokenized on the blockchain. So you're going to just imagine you have a building, and it's also going to bring more accessibility, because right now, if you are a real estate investor, it implies that you have to go see the property. Let's say you want to buy, we were talking before, you want to buy a property in Greece. Well, likely you will have to travel there. You have perhaps to get a golden visa. It's more expensive. It's inaccessible for the world's population. Meanwhile, if you tokenize a building, let's say on the XRP ledger or on Stellar blockchain, you can fractionize this building and divide into, let's say, 1,000 tokens. And right now, you don't need to physically come to Greece to be invested. You can actually buy, let's say, 10 tokens or 100 tokens, which is a fractionized representation of this property on the blockchain. And that allows you to actually invest, let's say, everywhere. You don't need to be limited.
Physically and limited.
So I think tokenization of real-world assets is number one trend.
Will make it faster and easier.
Yeah, and I think people should be really looking on what projects are capable to tokenize real-world assets, and it goes for everything. I was in Paris for the Paris Blockchain Week. They tokenizing solar panels, they tokenizing water.
Wow.
So it's going to be everything on the blockchain.
So with the ups and downs of the market, how do you stay bullish on the Web3?
I guess I focus on the long term always. That's my key. Since the beginning, I always focus on the long term, because I understood that crypto is going to play a pivotal role in society, and it's going to transform many aspects, just like I said, cross-border payments, tokenization of real-world assets, decentralized governance as well. There will be many opportunities. So I really think most people should not be focusing on the 30-minute charts, because that's crypto. We have a lot of price action upwards and also down, but I'm not really paying attention to what's happening on this month or in the next month, but I'm looking for the trends, and that's how I have been successful in crypto for my journey, let's say.
Interesting. As I mentioned in my intro, you have education part, like you work with Alpha Lions Academy, focusing on educating and onboarding people into the Web3 ecosystem. What's the biggest challenge in crypto education nowadays?
I think the biggest challenge for crypto nowadays, especially I would say the biggest obstacle for mass adoption, is that people are not capable of taking care of their own keys. So in crypto, when you leave your cryptos in one exchange, that actually doesn't belong to you. So if you have crypto in Binance, that crypto is under custody of Binance. And let's say you have XRP on Binance, they're going to give you a tag, which, let's say, imagine Binance as being a building, and you have a fraction, which is one apartment. And that's what represents your ownership, but that's actually tied to Binance. And I think the biggest challenge is to onboard people and make them responsible for taking care of their private keys, because people are very irresponsible. I would argue that I had so many people I met in crypto who lost the keys, so that's a very challenging. And I think the way that's going to be sorted out is with biometric authentications on cold wallets that are going to actually scan through your face and get rid of the seed phrases. I think that's incompatible with mass adoption.
Interesting. So Edward, let's start from scratch. Let's say someone who's beginner, who's new starter, someone who wants to explore the opportunities available on this digital assets, the Web3, the blockchain, how to start. What's your one piece of advice for those people who are willing to start, but they don't know from where to start? They don't have the proper education, a lot of information and data online. So how do you take it step by step?
I think there is an overload of information on Web3 right now, and that makes people to not be able to focus on what really matters. So I would advise them to find one search of information or two that they can trust. And I would argue that not to listen, like the typical example, you open Twitter X and there are thousands of tweets and thousands of new projects, and you can't really focus, and that comes from Warren Buffett's strategy that you shouldn't be over diversified. So I would cut the distractions and focus in a handful of assets, let's say 5 or 6 assets that you're going to follow constantly for the next.
What are the assets that you advise people to start with?
Well, this is not financial advice, of course, but I would, as I said, look for real world trends and find projects that are solving something on the real world, because ultimately that's what's going to drive price appreciation on the long term. That's what's going to make you invest in something that's more safe. I would be looking at most of the ISO 20022 compliant companies. For example, Ripple, Stellar, Hedera, Iota. You can look for the XRPs, the XLMs, and then you can look for native tokens built on top of XRP Ledger. So you can also look for XRP Healthcare, MXI from Monerex. I am the head of social adoption. If you want to go for Stellar, you can look for Vilo, SHX. I think these are assets. They had a massive run already, but I am convinced these assets are going to play a pivotal role on the transformation of the new financial system.
Like, I mean, this question came to my mind. In the traditional way of investment and the traditional assets like bond, real estate, the gold, we have financial experts, and you can refer to them, you can ask them on their expertise, what's more beneficial, the market, ups and downs. Like, do we have this same kind of expert in the digital assets? Who do you follow yourself to get to know more the markets, what's happening in the market, and how you decide on what you want to do?
You do have different people who are on the Web3 spaces. I personally like to look more for tangible investment. So I'm not there spending my time gambling on meme coins, which unfortunately a lot of people are losing a lot of money by doing so. But I also trade meme coins, but I'm doing that with a small fraction of my investment. So I'm not taking uncalculated risks. So at the same time that crypto flows through my veins, I can really say that I work 24 hours per day. I'm not taking unnecessary risks. I'm only investing what I can afford to lose. And the people who I actually like to gain knowledge from, most of them are people who have more of a traditional way of investment. They also looking not only for crypto, but why not to be diversified in hard assets and real estate. I think it's very important to be diversified, because also crypto moves in cycles, and you don't want your income to go down when we enter a bear market, for example.
So how long is the circle of crypto?
Each cycle depends, but it can take up to 3 to 4 years until you turn completely from a bear market to a bull market. But ultimately, and that's my prediction for the future, I think we're going to enter a perpetual cycle. So I don't think for assets building something tangible on the real world, I don't think there will be a bear market anymore, especially for the XRPs, the XLMs, because ultimately these projects are going to be moving trillions of dollars in cross-border payments, tokenization of real-world assets. So what's going to drive the price at some point is not going to be the market sentiment based on speculation. Nowadays, the price of an asset really comes down to how many people are buying, to how many people are selling. But if we transition to a world where crypto adoption is fully embraced, I don't think we're going to have the down fluctuations anymore in the price of digital assets. So that's why I think the opportunity is now, because in the future, I don't really see the market dumping or at 30% in the same day. I think it's going to be much more like the stock markets. We're going to have
more stability and then small margin of going up or down.
Small margin of profits. So that's why the key is to actually get started before institutional adoption takes place, because then it's going to be the BlackRocks, the Grayscales, the large enterprises that are going to be purchasing these digital assets that today we can buy with pennies, literally.
Yeah. I mean, you've mentioned market sentiment, the price sentiment of the market. How much do you see like some influential people, like international figures or names, how much they are affecting or impacting, let's say, the market, like with one tweet or like on the platform of X, if someone is writing anything, whether it's positive or negative, how much do you see the market is still affected by those public figures and big influencers?
I think that has changed over time. You would see that Elon Musk in the past would come out, put a tweet about Dogecoin in 2018, 19, and you would have a 30% price increase. Nowadays, that's not true anymore, but you still have some level of influence. Well, just 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we had Donald Trump, who actually launched his own meme coin, which was
and his
insane.
wife also, the first lady.
Yes, and then the first lady. And well, that had a massive impact in the crypto markets. It has sucked liquidity, and almost we had a downturn on the price of digital assets because of the two coins by Donald Trump and the first lady. But it's still a quite emotional market, I would say.
Yeah.
Less than 3 or 4 years ago, I think that's going to decrease over time. But there is no doubt that influential figures still can manipulate or impact the prices.
So this is the core, that people should be more educated, more cultivated on this ecosystem, on like choosing and selecting the data, the information from the market, so they can be on the safe side, more than being more emotional, like following some figures, following some wrong information and false data, right?
Yeah, totally agree. I would argue, as I always say the same sentences, you focus on the utility tokens, the ones that are going to play a very important role. And I think the chances that you're going to suffer, let's say, a rug pull or that you're going to lose money are substantially low.
So back to the social media, you generate over 30 million views per month, but in crypto, engagement can be double-edged sword, let's say. How do you balance creating viral content while ensuring, as we talked about, the transparency, the accuracy in a space full of hype and misinformation?
Well, first, I get hundreds probably of messages of inquiry for partnerships on a, let's say, on a monthly basis. So first I select very well the projects where I'm going to put my face out. For example, I'm talking about XRP Healthcare and Monerex. So it's two projects that I know the team. They are all doxed. You can go to LinkedIn. You can find the creators. I have met them personally. I know the tokenomics. So before I engage with any project, I will have a deep look at the tokenomics, how the supply is distributed, what are the future plans for the project, what is this solving on the real world, and all that sort of things. Meanwhile, it's more about the projects that you're going to turn down, because being honest, most projects nowadays, they just come out, especially about new cryptocurrencies. Most of them, they have a launch and a couple of weeks later, they are just gone. And I also try to be very transparent. For example, when I do a YouTube video, let's say, I also run a YouTube channel. And if I have a sponsored video, which sometimes I do, I let my audience know. I say, hey guys, this is a sponsored video and I'm bringing to you this project. Always do your own research. It's never like saying something that you don't mean. Like, guys, buy this because I am buying, but in the end they are paying you money for do that. That's not how someone that has a large following should actually operate. I think you should be very transparent with the audience, and you should do a lot of research before you accept a major partnership. And that's the first time I accepted XRP Healthcare. Probably I had turned down probably hundreds of projects on XRP that reached out to me. And I don't regret, because nowadays it stays as one of the most successful projects built on the XRP ledger. So I think that's the way to go.
I'm sure you receive a lot of positive comments and at the same time negative comments. As we said, the digital world is double-edged sword. How do you navigate the negative comments? How do you communicate with these people? Like, sometimes you're giving some advices, like today, but the other day it's changing. Right?
Yeah, you can look from this perspective. Let's say XRP, it was at 50 cents for months or years. And I told everyone, get on XRP. People got on XRP. They did incredible profits because it went to $3.20. It was like almost 700% increase. And then you have a correction of $3.20, let's say, to $2.50. And for some people, oh my God, the world's falling. So it's a very emotional market. And when people are actually putting money on projects, and sometimes they will take decisions based, even they should do their research. They take decisions based on maybe some post you did. But I think ultimately the way is just to, especially the people who are not respectful in their approaches, and you do have quite many of them. I'm happy that most of my audience, they are very educated, very polite. It's not the typical crypto investors. I think they are people who fully understand blockchain technology. But there's always a minority, and I think the way is just to ignore and keep building. There is not much you can do.
This is part of the social media and digital world. People, they have more tendency to be negative and to comment negatively on posts more than being positive. So, this is part of it. And it's always good to be transparent, to be open, to reply, like, this is what's happening, this is how you can fix it, and then you move on.
And and unfortunately, there is still a lot of tribalism. So projects compete with each other, and you have like other currencies. Like, let's say, talk about XRP. Yeah. Oh, you should not talk about XRP. You should talk, and there is a lot of this still. But I think people have to be more mature and understand that for this ecosystem to thrive, it's like you don't need only Facebook to be successful. Let's say if you are from Twitter, you want all the social medias to be successful, because ultimately you need the ecosystem, right? You don't need only Facebook
just
to exist. And that's what a lot of people fail to understand. But I think that I have a very nice psychology, and I just ignore most of. If there is some critics on this, if it's a constructive critic,
you have thick skin.
But if it's just personal offenses, well, I just ignore it. I know the problem is more about the people who are
the people behind the
out.
screen.
Yeah, exactly.
So some of our previous guests, they have outright called XRP garbage. As someone deeply involved in the ecosystem, what's your take on this? What do critics get wrong, and where do you see real investment opportunities in the XRP future?
I think the critics of XRP, most of them are uneducated, so they don't fully understand the technology. Most of them, they will come with false claims. For example, they used to say, I would just say some of them here, they say that XRP is centralized, and that's not true. They say that that Ripple owns a lot of XRP, therefore XRP is centralized. Well, that's not inherently true, because ownership of tokens doesn't give you power over the network. So when you have such a decentralized ledger like the XRP ledger, I mean, decisions are taken by the majority. That's how you want a decentralized blockchain to operate. So if the majority agrees they want to make a change on the code or on the ledger, the majority will actually win. It's just like the Bitcoin with the 51% mining, they can take decisions as well. So the first thing, the false claim, the biggest one is that XRP is centralized. The second one is that they call a lot that Ripple sells XRP from the escrow. That's also not true. Most of the Ripple is actually the greatest buyer of XRP from the open market since 2019. So The escrow is a mechanism that was designed to ensure enough liquidity. XRP is a liquidity provider, so Ripple has actually created this escrow. It's billions of XRPs that are escrowed there because that's actually ensuring there is enough liquidity. They need that for every token. Let's say if you're launching a meme coin, you need some percentage of the supply to scale the coin. You need, for example, to ensure a percentage for exchanges, for DEX listings. So if there was not for the escrow, XRP would never be able to somehow become the ultimate purpose, which is a world reserve currency. So you really need the escrowed XRP, and most people who are criticizing XRP, they are saying that Ripple is dumping XRP, and they are just sending that for on-demand liquidity transactions, and the XRP gets escrowed back. It's an escrow mechanism that exists on the XRP ledger. So I would say that most of them don't fully understand the technology.
Let's talk a bit about the trust issue in Web3. Yeah. So crypto has a massive trust problem, like scams, regulatory uncertainty. How do legit builders and educators like you cut through the noise and show people that Web3 is more than just speculation?
I think it ultimately comes to, for example, let's say you want to invest in a new project. For throwing your money like you are gambling, which is what most people are doing, have a seat and do some deep research on the project. Understand who is behind the project, who are the board of directors members, what is the purpose of this project, how is the supply, the tokenomics, the distribution, what's the roadmap. And I think if you just eliminate a lot of the let's say, untrustful projects out there, I think that's the key for long-term success.
Yeah. I mean, how is the crypto, the Web3, the blockchain, this whole ecosystem supporting the humanity? How it's supporting people's life? How it's making it more easier?
Well, you can see from the payments standpoint, so that you eliminate a lot of the fees associated with banking system. I think the major breakthrough, if you really see blockchain technology, it's a chain of blocks, literally. So it's a sophisticated database. And I think the greatest breakthrough with distributed ledger technology comes down to decentralization. You don't have a center authority anymore who is taking the decisions, but you have a consensus, or you have, just like is the Bitcoin case or the XRP, where the majority are taking the decisions. And that eliminates a lot of the high cost associated with traditional databases. And on the practical standpoint, that's very helpful. I transact most of the time. If I have to send money across the globe, if I have to send a transaction, I'm not sending euros anymore. I'm mostly sending XRP. So that's one use case. But you have other use cases, just like XRP Healthcare, which is revolutionizing healthcare in Africa. So I think there is a lot of opportunities where blockchain technology is going to improve the life quality of individuals.
So let's have a quick fire round for some fun. I will ask you some questions and I want you to answer with why, like your answer and why. One crypto project other than the XRP that excites you right now?
I would argue XLM.
Why?
It's XRP's little sister, so it has a very
potential.
Very nice potential. It's more focused on micropayments.
Yeah.
And well, you can tokenize anything of value on Stellar blockchain, so it has a very similar technology to XRP. Mm-hmm. And if you look for all the partnerships of Stellar, you look for Daniel Dixon, the CEO of Stellar, and all the people who are involved in the project, I think it has tremendous long-term potential.
Came to my mind this question: who's your mentor? Who's your one person that you always look at them? You want to be, they are your role model. You want to be like them one day, and you keep tracking on what they are doing.
Oh, I do have a mentor that was pivotal in my journey. Well, he's not directly a crypto mentor, but he has been, let's say, my spiritual and financial mentor. His name is Matthew David Hurtado. He's author of many books One of them that has changed my life, it's called Ask Until It's Given.
Wow.
And I think that has been a breakthrough for me.
Interesting. One conception about crypto that needs to die, to be eliminated.
That XRP is centralized.
Oh, okay. If you could onboard any celebrity into the Web3, who would it be and why?
If I could, any celebrity, let's bring on Cristiano Ronaldo to get some XRP.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What you will tell him? How you will convince him? What will be your approach?
That would be not hard, I guess. I think he already owns some on the sidelines, but I think I would argue that he should own some XRP if he wants to be well financially in the next years.
Yeah. How do you describe the Web3 in one word?
Exciting.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, promising, exciting.
Promising.
So you have more of a global exposure. You told me about your journey, moving from Portugal, being from Italy yourself, and then moving to Greece. You have more of global exposure. Now you're visiting Dubai, you're here in the UAE. How do you see the influence of UAE market amongst this fast-moving ecosystem? And we have a lot of important events happening for the blockchain, this ecosystem throughout the year. What's your potential possibility about the Dubai market, and how do you see yourself one day being part of this?
I think it's very exciting to be, let's say, I always say that if you have a phone nowadays, you become a global citizen. That's literally. So when I travel, it's very exciting because I come to meet a lot of people who they follow me from many parts of the world, from the United States. If I travel to every country, there will be someone there, especially in Europe. Or just I mentioned to you before I came to Dubai, I put a story on Instagram yesterday. I already had like 5-6 people who are based here. I think there is a huge crypto hub here in Dubai. So that's very exciting. And especially with crypto, I think that's the best because you can transact in crypto, you can buy real estate in Dubai using crypto. So also this intersection of being a content creator and also about specifically crypto, I think that opens a lot of doors for unthinkable things to happen.
On personal level, Edward, how being part of the crypto and moving from the traditional jobs, you told me you used to work in the real estate world, and then focusing on the crypto, the Web3, the blockchain, how this specific world changed your life and in how long time, how many years?
Well, first, before real estate, I studied law in Portugal, so there has been this transition from law and real estate, which are two topics that excite me. But I think it was a period of 2 or 3 years where fully I went all in content creation for crypto and trading and building my online academy. And I think the best is that it removes the geographic barriers. Like if I would to be a lawyer in Italy or in Portugal, that would be very limiting versus the whole opportunities that I have right now. As I said, with internet, access to internet and a phone, you are instantly a global citizen. So that opens infinite possibilities.
What's your one piece of advice to our viewers, to Congape TV viewers, and to all the young adults and young generations who's watching us, who wants to be maybe one day like you are their role model, and what's your one piece of advice? What do you tell them now?
I would say that everything's possible if you have a vision. So the first, you need to know exactly what you want in life. And once you fully have this vision, if you consistently work towards your vision, if you have passion for what you are doing, there is no doubt that a bridge of incidents will take you to your final destination.
Interesting. Edward, this was absolute masterclass in crypto content and the future of Web3. Your insights are really game-changing, and I know your audience will walk away with so much value. Where can people follow you and stay updated with everything you're working on?
Well, I have mainly 3 social medias that I use for content creation. So they can find me on Twitter. I still struggle to call it X.
Yeah.
So many years. It's Edward_Farina. They can find me there. They can also find me on YouTube. If they type Edo Farina XRP especially, you will find me very easily. And on TikTok, I will not give the handle because I forgot now, and I don't want them to follow the fake accounts anyways.
Okay, they will find you, I'm sure. So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your people who's interested in Web3 and in this ecosystem. Stay tuned for the next episode of Web3, Voice of Web3, where we will bring more visionary guests shaping the future of digital innovation. Thank you, Edward, for all your insights. And this was an impressive discussion. Thank you for being my guest.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.